Hello everyone. So again now we start with the next topic, that is gluconeogenesis. This topic comes under the metabolism, that is carbohydrate metabolism. So glucose metabolism. Now what is gluco? Gluco means glucose. Genesis is what? Synthesis. So here it is the synthesis of carbohydrate glucose in presence of what? Neo substance. Neo means non-carbohydrate. So it is a process of synthesis of glucose from non-carbohydrates. So today we will start with gluconeogenesis. You can also watch glycolysis before this pathway, so that it will be help you to understand more betterly. So better you just first watch the video of glycolysis and then come to the gluconeogenesis. Now definition. Now you all have understood that it is the formation of glucose from non-carbohydrate like pyruvate, lactate, glycerol, propionate and amino acids like this is called gluconeogenesis. So amino acids, which amino acids? They are glucogenic amino acid. Propionate, it comes from an odd number of fatty acid with odd carbon. Then glycerol, it is by lipolysis, and pyruvate and lactate by glycolysis. All these are produced in our body or in cells, which has to be metabolized. So this metabolism is done by gluconeogenesis. Now what are the substrate for gluconeogenesis or precursors? These are the initial substance to start gluconeogenesis. So the first is lactate. Second is pyruvate. Lactate and pyruvate both are end products of glycolysis. Lactate by anaerobic glycolysis and pyruvate by aerobic glycolysis. Then glucogenic amino acids. From where they are coming? The amino acids which form glucose are pyruvate forming amino acid, and those that produce intermediate in TCA cycle. So some of these amino acids are produced by the intermediates of TCA cycle. That all glucogenic amino acid are the precursor for gluconeogenesis. Then comes the glycerol, which is obtained from lipolysis of fat. Then propionic acid or propionate, it is coming from the metabolic pathway. It is the breakdown of odd chain fatty acid. So at the end of the fatty acid oxidation, last product is always it is acetyl coenzyme A, but in odd chain it can be 3 carbons, so that's why it is propionyl coenzyme A, that is metabolized by this gluconeogenesis. So gluconeogenesis, there are majority 5 precursors or 5 major substrates. They are what? Lactate, pyruvate, glucogenic amino acids, glycerol and propionate. Then now location of gluconeogenesis. Where this gluconeogenesis takes place? It takes place in liver. So liver is the major organ where gluconeogenesis takes place. This liver contains gluconeogenic enzymes. So therefore it is present, it is always going in, gluconeogenesis is always going in liver organ, and it occurs mainly in cytosol. And although some precursors are produced in mitochondria, some are produced in mitochondria, but major pathway is occupied in cytosol. Now biomedical importance. What is the importance of this gluconeogenesis? Then only we will study it. Why it is important? It is very important because brain and nervous central nervous system, erythrocyte, testes, kidney, medulla are dependent totally on glucose. So when we are in fasting stage or when we don't have glucose, then there has to be some pathway which produces this glucose. So this is very important pathway, that in fasting condition glucose is produced. This glucose becomes the source of energy for central nervous system, brain, RBCs, testes, kidney, medulla and so. The glucose is the only source that supplies energy to the skeletal muscle. So skeletal muscle, only glucose is the source which produces anaerobic glycolysis. So that glucose has to be produced. So from where it is produced? So in the fasting stage, or when there is glucose deficiency, then this glucose is produced by gluconeogenesis. Then in fasting, even more than a day, when we fast for more than a day, gluconeogenesis must occur, because we need glucose. It is the basal requirement. So it has to maintain its concentration, and it is to maintain the citric acid intermediate. So to run TCA cycle, glucose has to be there. So this glucose is produced by gluconeogenesis in the fasting stage. Then the next importance is what? Certain metabolites, like we have seen that in glycolysis lactate, in anaerobic glycolysis lactate is produced, in aerobic pyruvate is produced, glycerols are produced, propionates are produced. These can be these are the end products. So how these products can be cleared, because they don't have any metabolic role in further, so they have to be cleared. So they are cleared by this gluconeogenesis. So it acts as a clearing agent. It clears all these metabolites. In fasting stage, it is important, glucose is the important source of energy, so that glucose we get from gluconeogenesis. Then we have seen that brain and RBC are totally dependent on glucose, so for that also gluconeogenesis should occur. So these are the biomedical importance of gluconeogenesis. Now what is gluconeogenesis? So gluconeogenesis is synthesis of this glucose, but from how? From pyruvate, from lactate, from glycerol, from propionate, and from amino acid. All these metabolites convert into glucose. So here we have 5 pathways. So we have to study today in gluconeogenesis, we will study 5 pathways. So we know this pyruvate and lactate, they are produced by glycolysis. So glucose, we all know that glucose is converted into pyruvate and glucose is converted into lactate in glycolysis. So again the conversion of lactate and pyruvate into glucose is gluconeogenesis, but these pathways are not just reverse, we will see. So the one major pathway is from, it is reverse of glycolysis, but not completely reverse. Then glucogenic amino acids also produce glucose. Then we will see propionate, that also produce glucose, so the different pathway. Then glycerol, then it is produce glucose. So we will see these all pathway, and they come together a main pathway with all these shunt pathways. This is known as gluconeogenesis. Now we see how it is happening. So one, the substrate is what? Lactate, some amino acids. Then number 3 is glycerol. Number 4 is pyruvate. 1, 2, 3 are here. Amino acid, lactate, pyruvate and glycerol. These 4 we have seen here only. So they all produce glucose. So this is glycolysis from glucose to pyruvate. So it is reverse of this. But all the method, by all the steps are not same. So you see there is change in this method and these 4 enzymes we can see that are different. So now see, this is the first pathway where lactate and pyruvate follow this pathway. This is known as gluconeogenesis. Then second, it is dietary muscles and protein. They give rise to amino acid. These amino acids convert into glucose by this pathway. Then number 3 is glycerol. Glycerol is also convert into glucose by this pathway. So this glucose glycerol which attaches to dihydroxyacetone phosphate, which is converted to glyceraldehyde 3 phosphate, fructose 1,6 diphosphate, fructose 6 phosphate, glucose 6 phosphate, and finally into glucose. And pyruvate and lactate, they are converted into oxaloacetate, then phosphoenol pyruvate, then these are all same pathway, they are just reversible reactions, so they are same. Then change comes on this first and third or pathway, first and third steps of this glycolysis. So all these steps we will see here one by one. Now the reaction of glycolysis. So reactions of glycolysis, gluconeogenesis involves glycolysis, TCA cycle plus some special reactions. So glycolysis and gluconeogenesis share the same pathway but in opposite direction, because glycolysis is the synthesis of pyruvate from glucose, whereas gluconeogenesis is synthesis of glucose from pyruvate. Essentially 3 reactions of glycolysis are irreversible. So out of that 10 reactions, 3 are irreversible and 7 reactions are common, that is to the glycolysis and gluconeogenesis. So this 7 reaction we will not see, we will only see the 3 reactions which are different or irreversible. Now which reactions? So from we clearly see this glycolysis 5 steps are here given. Glucose is converted into glucose 6-phosphate, then fructose 6-phosphate, then fructose 1,6-biphosphate, glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate and dihydroxyacetone phosphate. This dihydroxyacetone phosphate is again converted into glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. So these 5 steps we will see first. These are glycolysis. But gluconeogenesis is reverse. So in gluconeogenesis, these 2 steps, first and third, the enzyme which is written in red color are gluconeogenic enzymes, whereas the enzymes which are written in blue, these are glycolytic enzymes. So this red color 2 steps are irreversible, that is conversion of glucose 6-phosphate into glucose and conversion of fructose 1,6-biphosphate into fructose 6-phosphate. Then next 5 reactions, this glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate is converted into 1,3-biphosphoglycerate, 3-phosphoglycerate, 2-phosphoglycerate, phosphoenol pyruvate. These are same reversible reactions. So this is similar. So these 7 steps are similar to the glycolysis and to the gluconeogenesis. The difference comes where? When the conversion of pyruvate is to the phosphoenol pyruvate. There comes a one step more, that is pyruvate is converted into oxaloacetate and then this oxaloacetate is converted into phosphoenol pyruvate. So these 2 enzymes, phosphoenol pyruvate carboxykinase and pyruvate carboxylase, these 2 enzymes, they convert this pyruvate into phosphoenol pyruvate, that is the last step, and the 2 steps first and third, that are different. Now 3 irreversible steps we have seen, which are that conversion of pyruvate to phosphoenol pyruvate, and the number 2 one is conversion of fructose 1,6-biphosphate to fructose 6-phosphate and then conversion of glucose 6-phosphate to glucose. So these are, and enzymes responsible for these are, here we have seen that pyruvate carboxylase and phosphoenol pyruvate carboxykinase. Both enzymes are there which convert pyruvate into phosphoenol pyruvate. Then next is fructose 1,6-biphosphatase, which converts fructose 1,6-biphosphate to fructose 6-phosphate. And the next enzyme is glucose 6-phosphatase. This glucose 6-phosphatase converts glucose 6-phosphate into glucose. Now we see one by one step. So conversion of pyruvate to phosphoenol pyruvate. This pyruvate is first converted into oxaloacetate and then this oxaloacetate is converted into phosphoenol pyruvate. Here one ATP is utilized and here one GTP is utilized. And the enzyme here responsible for it is pyruvate carboxylase. This also takes one carbon dioxide addition. So carbon dioxide is added here and carbon dioxide is removed here. So the addition of carbon dioxide is known as, enzyme is responsible is carboxylase. So it is pyruvate carboxylase. And here in presence of GTP and carbon dioxide, therefore enzyme is carboxykinase. We have told that ATP, GTP, if exchange of this there, then the enzyme is kinase. So pyruvate is first carboxylated to oxaloacetate. So it is converted into oxaloacetate by enzyme pyruvate carboxylase. You always remember that when there is enzyme carboxylase or addition of CO2, the coenzyme biotin is present. So here coenzyme biotin is present and it converts pyruvate to oxaloacetate. This reaction is taking place in mitochondria. This is taking place in mitochondria, whereas this is produced in cytosol. So how it takes place? So the first reaction is what? Ki pyruvate is converted to oxaloacetate. It is in mitochondria. But now this oxaloacetate is not permeable to the mitochondrial membrane. So it cannot cross membrane. So it has to be converted in malate. So next it is due to membrane permeability, oxaloacetate cannot diffuse out of mitochondria. So it is converted into malate. Then this malate is transported to cytosol and then cytosol is again converted into oxaloacetate. This malate is converted into oxaloacetate in cytosol and then this oxaloacetate is converted into phosphoenol pyruvate and the enzyme responsible for it is malate dehydrogenase. So we have two enzymes here, pyruvate carboxylase and phosphoenol pyruvate carboxykinase, and one more enzyme which converts this oxaloacetate is converted into malate to cross the mitochondrial membrane. Then malate is again converted into oxaloacetate. For both that reaction the common enzyme is there, that is known as malate dehydrogenase. So in cytosol this phosphoenol pyruvate carboxylase converts oxaloacetate to phosphoenol pyruvate. In this way first step is over. Now the second irreversible step is conversion of fructose 1,6 biphosphate to fructose 6-phosphate. Here the only change is that the ATP is not utilized here, but here the enzyme is different. The enzyme is fructose 1,6 biphosphate. For the production of fructose 6-phosphate into fructose 1,6 biphosphate, the enzyme was phosphofructokinase in glycolysis. But here when fructose 1,6 biphosphate is converted to fructose 6-phosphate, the enzyme is fructose 1,6 biphosphatase. This enzyme is gluconeogenic enzyme. Then the third step is conversion of glucose 6-phosphate to glucose. So here in glycolysis glucose is converted into glucose 6-phosphate in presence of enzyme glucokinase or hexokinase. But here when glucose 6-phosphate is converted to glucose, the enzyme is glucose 6-phosphatase and this enzyme is present only in liver. So gluconeogenic enzyme, these are present only in liver, so it takes place only in liver and some in kidney, but it is absent in muscle, brain or any adipose tissue. There is no this enzyme present only. So therefore liver is responsible for the glucose production, or you can say blood sugar. It reflects the blood sugar level. Now to prevent the fast and futile cycle, glycolysis and gluconeogenesis are reciprocally regulated. This glycolysis and gluconeogenesis are reciprocally regulated. They are regulated by what? Allosteric regulation by adenine nucleotides. And number 2, they are regulated by phosphofructokinase. And the same way fructose 1,6 biphosphate, that is gluconeogenesis. In glycolysis it is regulated by phosphofructokinase. Here these are glucogenic amino acid. Like this glucogenic amino acid, it forms fumarate. So fumarate will be converted into malate, it will cross membrane, it will convert into oxaloacetate, then into phosphoenol pyruvate and so on. In the same way alpha ketoglutarate, it is produced, it is also glucogenic amino acid. So this will produce alpha ketoglutarate that will convert into succinyl coenzyme A, fumarate, malate comes out, and in this way it will follow this pathway. Then it is Propionyl coenzyme we will see. Then glucogenic other amino acid, it produces oxaloacetate. So oxaloacetate will convert into malate. Malate will again come out, then will convert into oxaloacetate, then phosphoenol pyruvate, and so way. In this way, this is converted into, so all glucogenic amino acids are produce intermediate of this TCA cycle, and they follow the gluconeogenic pathway in this way. So this we have seen. So carbon skeleton of gluconeogenic amino acid, all except leucine and lysine result in the formation of pyruvate. They all produce pyruvate or some intermediate in TCA cycle. We have seen oxaloacetate, succinyl coenzyme A. These are produced and ultimately they are converted into glucose. Then we come to the next, that is glycerol. So glycerol are produced how? By the lipolysis. So by the lipolysis, triacyl glycerol is broken into, when hydrolysis of triacyl glycerol takes place, it converts into fatty acid and glycerol. So this glycerol, in the presence of enzyme glycerokinase, they are activated. So see how it is activated. This glycerol is converted into glycerol phosphate, that is by in presence of enzyme glycerokinase. This glycerol phosphate is converted into dihydroxyacetone phosphate in presence of glycerol phosphate dehydrogenase enzyme. This dihydroxyacetone is then converted into glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, and then glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate will convert into 1,3-fructose 1,6-biphosphate, fructose 6-phosphate, glucose 6-phosphate, glucose and then glucose. In this way, this glyceraldehyde will follow the gluconeogenic pathway. In this way, it will be converted into, first it is phosphorylated, then it is converted into dihydroxyacetone, then it is converted into glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, and then it connects itself into the gluconeogenic, that is reverse pathway of glycolysis. Then we come to the next, propionyl coenzyme A, that is produced by the oxidation of odd chain fatty acid and breakdown of some amino acid. Propionyl coenzyme A is formed. This propionyl coenzyme A, where it is linked, it will link to the TCA cycle, that is succinyl coenzyme A. How it is linking? This propionic acid is converted into propionyl coenzyme A. This propionyl coenzyme A is converted into methyl malonyl coenzyme A. Then methyl malonyl D form is there. Then it will be converted into L form of methyl malonyl coenzyme A. And this L form is converted into succinyl coenzyme A. This succinyl coenzyme A is present in TCA cycle. This succinyl coenzyme will form succinate, fumarate and malate. Then malate will go out of the mitochondria, will produce oxaloacetate, then will produce phosphoenol pyruvate, then 3-phospho, then 2-phosphoglycerate, 3-phosphoglycerate, 2-phosphoglycerate, 1,3-biphosphoglycerate. In this way, 3-glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate and dihydroxyacetone phosphate, fructose 1,6-biphosphate. In this way, it will ultimately convert into glucose. So these are the reactions how propionyl coenzyme A takes place. So here what we have to remember, that it is because of odd chain fatty acid and breakdown of sub amino acid. Then it produces what? It produces propionyl coenzyme A, then methyl malonyl coenzyme A D form, then methyl malonyl coenzyme A L form, then succinyl coenzyme A. In this way, it enters the glycolysis or TCA cycle, and with the help of gluconeogenic enzyme, it is converted into glucose. Now this lactate, last is lactate. So how this lactate is converted into this? We have seen that in muscles, by the oxidation of glucose, anaerobic oxidation of glucose, lactate is produced. But this lactate is not utilized in this muscles, so this will transport itself via blood to the liver. In liver, gluconeogenic enzymes are present, so this lactate will be converted into pyruvate, and then pyruvate into glucose, and then this glucose again will pass to the muscle. So this type of cycle where glucose is utilized in muscle to form lactate, and then lactate transfers itself to the liver, then again produce glucose by gluconeogenic pathway, and then glucose it passes into muscle. This type of cycle is known as Cori cycle. It was done by Cori, or it was invented by Cori. So lactate formed by the oxidation of glucose in skeletal muscle, and also yes, RBC cells also produce lactate. They are then transported to liver to produce glucose, and this cycling of lactate between muscle and liver is known as Cori's cycle, or it is also known as lactic acid cycle. This lactic acid cycle, again diagram is shown. These you can see glucose is utilized to form lactate. This lactate is transferred via blood vessel to the liver. From liver through gluconeogenesis it is converted into glucose, and if it is not used, then glucose is converted to glycogen. Then this glucose is transported again to the muscle, and it is converted into glycogen. In this way, this cycle is known as lactic acid cycle or Cori cycle. Now glucose alanine cycle. It is also the same cycle, but it has some difference that pyruvate produced is converted into alanine in muscles. Sometimes it is produced into lactate, but sometimes it produced into alanine. This alanine amino acid transfers itself into liver, and this alanine is then deaminated to form urea. This alanine is then deaminated to form urea, and this alanine again produces pyruvate and then glucose. This cycle is known as alanine glucose alanine cycle. Then regulation of gluconeogenesis. So gluconeogenesis are regulated by hormone glucagon and also availability of substrate. So glucagon produces gluconeogenesis. You all know that glucagon is the plus for sugar formation. So this hormone is responsible to increase sugar. So to increase sugar is to increase glucose. So by this pathway glucose is increased. So glucagon is positively activates gluconeogenesis. And it also activates glucogenic amino acid also activates this gluconeogenesis. Also acetyl coenzyme also activates this, and then glucose. So when glucose is present, the gluconeogenesis will reduce, or when glucose is present, it will reduce this gluconeogenic. So in this way glucagon, glucogenic amino acid, acetyl coenzyme A, or lactate or pyruvate, these all substrates, they regulate gluconeogenesis. Then influence of, now we see detail about glucagon. So it stimulates gluconeogenesis by two mechanisms. One mechanism, it is by pyruvate kinase, which is converted into inactive form through the mediation of cyclic AMP. We know that adenyl cyclase enzyme activates, which converts ATP into cyclic AMP. This cyclic AMP will activate pyruvate kinase, or you can say kinase enzyme, and this will convert the phosphoenol pyruvate to pyruvate, and in this way synthesis of glucose is formed. Then glucagon, the second method is glucagon reduces the concentration of fructose 2,6 biphosphate. When fructose 2,6 biphosphate is reduced, then this compound allosterically inhibit phosphofructokinase. So this will inhibit phosphofructokinase, so the glycolysis will not take place and it will favor gluconeogenesis. Now the availability of substrate, we have seen that glucogenic amino acid increase the gluconeogenesis, while acetyl coenzyme may also promote gluconeogenesis. In substrate we have seen the glucogenic amino acid. This is a particular condition like diabetes mellitus, where the amino acid are mobilized from muscle protein to form to the purpose of gluconeogenesis. And a acetyl coenzyme may also promote gluconeogenesis during starvation or excessive lipolysis. The adipose tissue produce acetyl coenzyme which accumulates in liver, and then this liver will start gluconeogenesis and convert this acetyl coenzyme O in presence of pyruvate carboxylase to produce glucose. So thank you very much. So I hope you like the video. So before this, please watch glycolysis. You can also watch glycogenesis and glycogenolysis, so that will help you how lactate is formed and pyruvate is converted. Thank you.